Oh, hey there! What's going on, everybody, in Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide Land? My name is vschwantz27, and we are kicking off our Warring Triads event here. We are doing one of the very first matches that we have scheduled up. Team Atma, represented by oneFreeFitz, going up against Team Doomgaze, represented by pbnjplz. And they are working with the Goddess Edict flag set. 4 starting characters. We have Final Kefka Unlock at 7 characters, 10 espers. If you either complete the Injured Lad quest or you defeat a certain number of dragons, you'll get the Auto Shell and Auto Haste attributes, respectively. After 7 checks, you will be given Auto Overcast and Auto Condemn. So make sure you buy some Revivifies. Your Phoenix Downs will not work here anymore. Multi-summon is on. We're going to be learning magic more often than not, and you get more lures to start out with. However, we are not going to be learning any fire or ice spells. Those are going to be off the table for this evening. As far as dead check item rewards, it is going to be armor and a thunder shield there, along with a mega elixir. So we are definitely going to be seeing some defensive heavy strats, and it's also interesting because we have Ultros League skip requirements, 9 characters or 12 espers or 21 checks. And what's even weirder about this, as we go over to the other screen here, you'll see what the other weirdness is we have a double Ultros in the hash. So it's a little crazy that we have Ultros League skip requirements. It's almost as if the seed was predicting itself, ladies and gentlemen. So on the left-hand side, we have oneFreeFitz with that lovely lavender bush color there. And on the right-hand side, we have the blue slate with the gold trim. I'm really liking that window. I might have to steal this configuration for myself from pbnjplz. Our runners are going to be starting just momentarily here, but if you have any questions in the chat, or if you want to make your predictions, are you on Team Atma, or are you on Team Doomgaze? Well, hopefully our runners won't be on Team Doomgaze when they have a multiple of 5 levels here. That would be quite the bad thing. Interestingly, we also will get all of the sword techs if we unlock the Dome of Dream. We'll see if either one of our runners go for the Injured Lad quest in order to get the Auto Haste and Auto Shell, or if they're just going to go with the dragons in this one instead. Remember, our rewards are going to be defensive items there. The Cat Hood, Genji Helmet, Red Cap, Force Armor, Genji Armor, Minerva, Behemoth Suit, Red Jacket, and Snow Muffler, along with the Thunder Shield, which is the only elemental shield, I should say, in this flag set that will teach spells. Ultima is also available in this flag set for 254 MP, so the Paladin Shield will actually teach you that as well. However, there are no fire and ice spells in this particular seed. So let's see our runners start to get it on, as I bid them good luck here. Yeah, Lavender Bush is definitely an option. I heard it was popular in the 70s. But here we go. We got to get to 7 and 10. This is like playing Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide back in the day with those requirements. And we are off. +3 boss levels, +6 dragon levels, Shadow, Lock, Celeste, with Magitech and Natural Magic Capture Terra, GP Rain for Shadow, and I don't remember what it was for Lock. I sort of missed it, but with this party configuration, we can immediately go to the world of Ruin Narsh, and I think that's what oneFreeFitz is doing in order to grab this Cursed Shield and see what the count is. Meanwhile, pbnjplz heads to the other very popular thing to do when you have Terra as a starting character, which is to raid this bottom basement area here at the Cave to the Sealed Gate, with a Thunder Shield in that chest. I'm assuming both of our runners are going to go ahead and go get that there. Here is a choice between Ifrit and a Red Cap, and oneFreeFitz is our first runner on the board with the shiny stone. That's a pretty easy one. Now, let's see what the curse shield is. And since the curse shield does allow you to get ultimate in this particular seed, I would think that anything maybe below like 10 or even 11 with this set of options is something that we're going to do. And with a curse shield count of 7, that's a very easy no-brainer play to go ahead and try and uncurse that shield. One of the interesting things about the Warring Triads flag set here is also that the statue bosses, every runner is going to have to fight them. They are shuffled in Kefka's Tower. So not only do you have to fight the statues, you are going to have to fight them with a reduced team. So that gives even more incentive for our runners to go ahead and crack that curse shield. And I think I'm going to have a co-commentator join me in the booth in just a second. I dragged him in, but I realized he might still be getting set up. So I'm sorry for prematurely bringing you in here.
I was just stretching and warming up my vocal cords, but you know, let's do this thing.
You did the Peter Piper picks a peck of pickled peppers a few times, you know.
So. I was trying to see who was running what flag set, but we got 2 amazing runners running an amazing flag set. I'll tell you that much.
Good, excellent. I'm glad that I, just threw you into the fire here, much like pbnjplz heading down into the fiery pits for Terra. We are doing Goddess Edict flag set. So we got 4 characters to start with the 710 requirements. Our skip is the same as it is in Ultros League. 9 characters or 12 espers or 21 checks. And the funny thing about this seed is that the hash contains 2 Ultroses. So
beautiful.
That's a pretty clever thing here. So we do have 2 espers that we've gotten so far from our checks. oneFreeFitz grabbing the curse shield with a count of 7 and an esper at the Narsh weapon shop. pbnjplz grabbing Raiden there at the end of the cave to the sealed gate. And it looks like Fitz is going to head through the World of Ruin, while pbnjplz continues on through the World of Balance. So, with the Goddess Edict flag set, these have been, I think, Drinksglue, traditionally the longer seeds that I've seen played. What is, a strategy that you would sort of employ with this particular flag set?
Well,
Not to give away your advantage here in the tournament.
Oh no, of course not. Inns and Wesley and I are doing the Doom flag set this week, so it just doesn't matter.
Okay.
But Auto Overcast doesn't kick in until level 7, so you don't have to worry about that yet. I will say that with the Warring Triads bosses levels progression being based off checks, normally they're off characters, espers, and dragons.
Yep.
Normally I would say do your 1 or 2 free checks, but this is a really peculiar start because we have access to 5 free checks right away with these 4 characters.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous.
And it's really easy to get that out of hand fast. So I don't know. I would almost loot sealed gate and then think about it a minute before I went anywhere else. But this is a really loaded start.
Yeah, we got some snipers for sale for pbnjplz in the World of Balance. South Figaro Locke can naturally equip that, and with a Genji glove in the basement, we might be going back to get yet another one of those DJ Khaled. We do have Celeste with Magitech. We have Terra with Natural Magic and Capture. We have GP Rain on Shadow, and I don't quite remember what Locke had. Let's see if somebody in the chat saw it. I don't really see it, but I think it might have been Morph. It was nothing that jumped out at me anyway.
So here's an exercise in preparation that maybe we'll see between Fitz and PB&J. In the Warring Triad flag sets, doing the Magitech factory to the completion does not get you the Magitech upgrade. Mm-hmm. Only the Dome of Dream Awakening gets you the Sword Tech upgrade.
Right.
So there is no Tech Missile for doing that. So let's see in their preparation the Fitz here do that with expecting to get Tech Missile unlocked. But in reality, they won't for doing so.
Yeah, so pbnjplz getting the save point here before grabbing the Unicorn Magicide. I like that. For me personally, my free checks, I will get them if they are espers or characters, because they will increase the level of XP, or rather the amount of XP and GP I'm going to get from my initial fights, whereas dead checks don't. So I like him saving there, and if it's a dead check, sort of resetting. The other thing with Magitech that's interesting, even though we don't have access to Tech Missile, it is one of the only ways in this seed that we are going to have either fire or ice magic, because we're not going to learn it from any espers. So it might be worth holding on to our Magitech user, even if, you know, they might not have the best of stats, or if you can't really figure out what to do for them, because they're going to be some of the only sources of some of that elemental magic. We did see a fire shield, I think. PB&J is coming up on that chest here. This will not teach fire 2, or yes, will not teach fire 2. So I think there's more of an incentive to break shields in this particular flag sets as well.
Well, once you're done with the poltergeist fight, you can go ahead and break it. But
All right, so let's see where Fitz decides to go. He's going to continue on the dead check run here. Going to go over to Gal Manor, hitting the save button before he goes and peeks this. And it's another Magicite. Wow.
I really like that move. PBJ isn't resetting, though. This one thing I've started doing that I don't see anyone else do, or I haven't seen any other players do, is what I like to do in a situation like Gal Manor. Is I go in? Oh, that's an experience for Fitz. That's worth interrupting myself. But what I like to do is I'll save and I'll say, okay, this is Ramu. What does Ramu teach or do? Does Ramu teach +1 magic, +2 magic, or strength or whatever? Then that's something you want to hold on to for the entire seed. Or it doesn't have any spells on it that are of value.
Right.
If it doesn't have either of those two things, what I like to do is reset. It doesn't push up my check-based scaling, and then I know where Esper number 9 is. I just need to find the other 8.
Right.
And it takes all of a few seconds to come back and get it, and then it allows you to go do other free checks that may be something of value to you immediately, and then move on. It's a little harder to do that in the basement, because then you have to commit going back into the basement or the weapon shop. But Gal Manor and Collagen Inn, you can 100% do that and only have a few second time loss. Essentially,
I assume assume PB&J is going to grab Ifrit here. So now we've got 3 shiny stones apiece. If Fitz goes all the way to the end of the cave to the sealed gate, he will have 4 espers before doing any fights here, which is a bit crazy. I do like your reset if there's no good spells or no good stats on the espers approach there. That's a pretty good one. Questions from the chat. Is multi-summon on? Yes, in this flag set, multi-summon is on. No, we do not have access to Merton, but yes, we do have access to Ultima at 254 MP and Glue with the 7 battle curse shield. That's something you're doing regardless, correct?
That's something I'm doing in my sleep.
Ooh, Bolt 3, Life 2, all around, and Strength +2 there, and an Ultima.
Oh my goodness.
So it looks like we're going to have a very magic-heavy seed thus far. Maybe with a double sniper sprinkled in here or there. And that's what I've found with Goddess flag sets anyway, since we're not getting weapons from dead checks, right? We're getting armor from dead checks. That's usually the way to go here.
The nice thing about the Goddess flag set with the armors from dead checks, you do end up... It kind of mitigates the auto overcast a little more so than, say, if that was in the Poltergeist flag set, because then you're just getting relics. It makes everything a little safer. So then it's just on you to be creative to figure out your damage before that timer goes down.
Yeah, but, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I will say with Bolt 3 and Ultima, that's a couple solutions to the problem. Yeah,
so, as we mentioned with access to Magitech, no, we are not going to get Tech Missile in any of the Warring Triad flag sets, but it's the only way we're going to be able to cast fire and ice spells in this seed with any sort of regularity. And we do have access to GP Rain, as Dr. DT mentions in the chat. That is defense ignoring damage that's based just off of your level. So if you throw your EXP egg on your GP Rain user maybe for the first couple of fights, and they could just basically kill mostly anything that stands in your way here. It looks like oneFreeFitz is gearing up for the Sealed Gate Ninja fight. And
nice.
pbnjplz, I think, is going to go get his 4th Esper down in the basement. I think it should be time to take the Moogle Charms off fairly soon for both of these runners here.
Yeah, if this switch is a lucrative encounter, Fitz is going to take a double helping, maybe a triple. Ooh, what's...
Yeah, so that's natural magic right there on Terra. And Celeste has the Magitech. We'll see what Locke has. I did not see what it was. It must be X Magic or Dance or something like that, because he has no other commands there.
I wonder if Fitz used that Rememberify because he thought they were dead, or he was trying to see how much HP they have and use it as a scan.
Yeah, that's...
you can use Rememberify on anything. You take whatever it heals them for and multiply it by 8, and that's their max HP.
Oh, Glue, don't make me do math on stream. But yeah, so these enemies here will heal themselves with any lightning spells, which is unfortunately the only ones that we're going to be able to learn in this seed. Interestingly enough, the bosses get +3 levels at the start of the seed. The dragons get +6 levels at the start of the seed, but the regular enemies do not. So the regular enemies here are going to be much weaker than their boss or dragon counterparts. And Fitz has already, cranked up the scaling to 7 times 2.5, which is, around level 20 already. 17 actually, 18. So his XP that he's going to get off of this fight is that of like a level 17 enemy. So he's going to get a lot of XP from this fight. It's going to take a little bit because he's got to kill things with weapons that don't do very much. Oh, fixed ice in a pot. There we go. So Celeste can use that, interestingly enough. So Glue, if you have this starting set of characters, where's your first, sort of checks that you're going to go? Are you going to go maybe Opera House or Elite River for the forced encounters? Or if you're feeling really spicy, maybe, go to the Floating Continent? Or are you going to do what, Fitz is doing here, which is some grind fights and then go take a boss? Did I lose you, Glue? I think you just got confused at the question. Meanwhile, pbnjplz is heading out on the Elite River here. And these are some difficult encounters. However, as I mentioned, with the way that the scaling has been scaled up already in this seed, we are going to get a lot of XP if he can make it through this fight. So, we'll see if he decides to do that here. And I have, looking at my tracker, I have my things wrong. pbnjplz actually has 4 espers, and Fitz only has 2 espers. I must have gotten my my stuff crossed up there. Alright, so Drink School will be back momentarily. His power just went out briefly. Hopefully that is not anything too bad for him. Meanwhile, that is the 3rd Esper there for oneFreeFitz, as pbnjplz having to contend with this fight here, which is going to be pretty difficult on the Elite River. But if you give Celeste enough turns with Magitech, she's going to definitely claw through this fight here. Meanwhile, oneFreeFitz is going to take a peek at Tizen. We'll see what the Tizen Thief is selling. It is a dead check Genji helmet for under 10,000. So he could probably sell that Genji helmet for more than 10,000 and make his money back. But unfortunately, that also pushes up the scaling on his enemies. And there you go. Fight done from pbnjplz. Look at all of the magic that he is learning. That's really nice to see. And this Elite River play is definitely paying off for him here at the start. Let's see what's at the rest of Tizen here, if there's anything interesting to buy. White dresses are really nice. They will give +5 magic power to anybody that can equip it. That's one of the things I look for in armor shops at the beginning of a seed, because that +5 magic is too good to pass up for a piece of armor that's almost all the time under 2,000 bucks. So you could very easily go grab that. So the Elite River got a rework I would say somewhat recently with the 1.4 update to Worlds Collide, where you get 3 forced encounters on this first path, 1 forced encounter on the second path, and 0 forced encounters right before the boss. So if pbnjplz makes it past this particular fight here, he will be able to be home free to the save point for the time being. And Terra's got 1 HP in a dream here. This is pretty crazy. Thank you for coming on board, Goodway. This is the Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide randomizer. If you have questions about it, just feel free to shout them out in the chat, and we'll be prepared to answer them to you. Essentially, it's a randomizer where the stuff in shops and in chests is randomized, character abilities are randomized, where you recruit characters, where you find espers, all randomized. The spells that the espers teach are randomized. The bosses are shuffled, so we don't know who we're going to fight at the end of the Elite River. Same with the enemy mobs. They are just dispersed everywhere. And yeah. So the question is, why is there no fire and ice spells? So that is a particular option that you can enable when running your seed. You could actually make it so that your characters cannot learn particular spells. And since this flag set is sort of based on the persona of Goddess, and Goddess is the statue boss that does lightning, that's why we decided that lightning are the only types of spells of the 3 main elementals that you can learn.
And that's also why you see everybody has a golden tint to them to revolve around the theme of the Goddess statue. This is part of our Warring Triads event. The Warring Triad event divides our players into multiple groups of 3, and then we fight each other to the death. And there are 3 flag sets in the Warring Triad event that revolve around Doom, Poltergeist, and Goddess, which is for this one. In the Poltergeist, you'll see some Poltergeist theme elements along with some red palettes, and then same with Doom, some blue palettes, and then some things that revolve around the Doom fight and the various features of the Doom statue in Final Fantasy VI.
So it looks like both of the runners are deciding to take a nice little river ride here.
Oh, yeah.
And it's Tritalk at the end, which is kind of awful in this flag set, because remember, Tritalk will absorb all elements except for fire, and we can't learn any fire spells here. So we're going to have to be stuck with GP Rain, which is defense ignoring, and our fire beam here. Maybe an Ifrit summon, because we do have multi-summon on, correct? So an Ifrit summon would also work, but there's not much else that we could... we do have Ifrit, yeah. Ifrit was one of the Esper from the Narsh weapon shop.
The good news with Tritalk is not much else is more than enough, because he has very pitiful defense, magic defense, so anything fire related will quote unquote melt through him very fast. But we had GP Rain and then the fire beam. We were very fortunate this time.
Oh no. Only a Mega Elixir from this check, but pbnjplz is probably up in the 20s as far as levels go now, because he was at least 16, I think, after the first save point. So a pretty good Elite River, if I do say so. It's unfortunate that it was a dead check there at the end of it. But yeah, he's level about 20 with all of his characters. So he is pretty set and will be ahead of scaling at least for a little bit here, Glue.
9,500 Sen Thief, but it's just a Genji helmet, but not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate that it's another dead check. But you could sell that Genji helmet for more than he just bought it, so I would say that that's a good return on investment there. Alright, so we'll see where our runners decide to go next. We have a lot of options open to us. We have all of the Magitech Factory, all of Floating Continent, the Opera House Disruption, the Phoenix Cave, and the South Figaro Cave to do. What else do we have? We have Zozo Tower for Terra. We have Welk.
Floating Continent 1, 2, and 3 if our heart's desire.
Yeah, we have Velt Cave in the World of Ruin. So one of the things, I don't know if you've noticed this, with a 4-character start, is that there are so many options open to you that sometimes it can be difficult to find out where the game is pointing you to go next. Mm-hmm. So we'll see which one of our runners gets over that proverbial hump to get their 5th character, because looking at the screen, those numbers in gold there, those are our goals to unlock and defeat Final Kefka. 7 characters, 10 espers. It's like a seed from 2.5 years ago, back before the objective system, when that was our racing standard, was 710 there.
Yeah, with the 2 extra characters start, as opposed to the Doom flag set, 2 extra characters in your party to start means there's 2 less undead checks out there. So you will play a little bit longer. Plus, it's a little harder to find that first character. Just because you have so many options and then such a decreased chance of that character being in any of the options you go to. Once you find that character, though, in Goddess and the Goddess flag set, I would lean strongly into doing all of that new character's checks, because that's where you're most likely to find your next iteration of a character, as opposed to going down the endless loop of mega elixirs and espers you don't really need, because character number 1 is the big breaking point in Goddess flag sets, in my opinion.
Yeah, so the other interesting thing is that I think pbnjplz has been looking around for Revivify in order to bring his characters back from being a zombie in preparation for the auto overcast after 7 checks, and he finally found some in Thamasa World of Balance, which is a little out of the way since we don't have Strago. So it'll be interesting if Fitz finds that shop and what he does for curing his characters later on in the seed.
Oregon Dude just subscribed at Tier 1 to the Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide Challenge. Fun fact about Oregon Dude, he's a dog, and he is 1-0 in the Warring Triad event so far. He took down Knuckly Kong earlier today.
Yeah, I saw the time pop up in the results room, and it was like a 20-second? No. Yeah, 30-second difference, so that was a close one.
It was a really back and forth, because Knuckly Kong was honestly 10 minutes ahead going into the statues, while Oregon Dude was still looking for the last piece of requirements, but he got walled at some of the statue spots, and then Oregon Dude caught up and took the lead, and then Oregon Dude. So it was very back and forth. It was a very, very tense ending.
Yeah, so Fitz does Fitz does find the Revivifies there in the Narsh item shop. And it looks like they are going to do the Welk spot here. I wonder if they will continue onwards to Kefka and Narsh, since they're already halfway up here. And it's not a character. Otherwise, that would be a character peeking out. And it's Vargas and the Apple Toilets, the Ipoos. Let's go. Yeah, so you'll see in this flag set, well, all of the flag sets, but you'll see in this race that the bosses in Kefka's Tower, and as we get further and further on in this seed, are going to become wildly more difficult than they are here early going.
Yeah, with check-based scaling, everything starts out at level 3, because there's a plus or minus 1. There's really like a baseline of 3 for everybody's levels, so you can't really know every monster's level, so you can't manipulate it. So everything starts off really weak, but your XP won't match the scaling that you push stuff up if you play through the seed regularly and not stop and do fights. So we're nice and cozy right now, but 10 to 15 minutes from now, we're going to start seeing some endgame ability out of bosses that you may not typically see in most flag sets.
Yeah, I think with this seed, though, given that we have access to Bolt 3, which is the most powerful Tier 3 elemental spell we'll see, we have access to Ultima, and it looks like we already have Pearl and Bio, which is the best spells for some of those other elements respectively, that we're in pretty decent shape, at least, you know, magic-wise here. And Fitz goes back to get the red cap at the behind the Welk spot, so that's where the other item reward is if you don't pick it at the Narsh weapon shop. So already up to 7 checks is Fitz with getting the auto haste, the auto overcast and auto condemned counter.
Yeah, and he's gonna bypass the Kefka at Narsh. I don't hate it, but I also don't like it. So he has so many options left that he's not really hard pressed going up there. And he has so many great options left with the floating continent and then Magitech. That's gonna be guaranteed progression there, whether it's characters or not.
All right, so it is Dullahan. How is this boss actually floating? As you see the sniper procking there. if we have capture, which I think we do, we could actually potentially get a Genji glove here from this fight. I think we already looted one, but it might be worth a shot just to try and grab one for free. Organ Dude also throwing out subs like rice at a wedding in the chat. Thank you so much for your gifting of subs. Our sub money goes towards charity. We are going to be running in some marathons that are upcoming, so we will be using it towards donations in some of those upcoming marathons if we're chosen. We did a submission for one a couple days ago anyway.
Yeah, Randomania, or Randothon at Randomania, which is we did a little deviation of the Ultra Sleeve flag set with some popular incentive objectives that were pretty cool.
Blinken, you missed it. That was an Ultros there at South Figaro Cave, and the reward is a snow muffler, unfortunately. So another dead check for Fitz. Meanwhile, pbnjplz is fighting a floating painting. This is the second boss of the floating continent, and we'll get our guaranteed Esper or character once this fight is over with. But with access to Pearl, I think this fight should be pretty easy, unless he didn't learn it yet.
No, well, Firebeam will still make short work of Chattanooga at this stage.
Yeah. Chad, unfortunately, will absorb that lightning spell.
PB&J already has Ultima online, enough MP to cast it. You probably won't see him spamming it.
Which is insane at 27 minutes, by the way.
Yeah. That's a really good feeling because you want to do your quicker abilities that are kind of on scale with Ultima. They won't do as much damage, but when you divide the time for the animation versus time animation for Firebeam or something.
Yeah. You might as well cast Pearl, right? It's the boss weakness, so it'll do twice as much damage. So it actually might do more damage than Ultima would do against that particular boss anyway. And yeah, Calmness protection from the floating continent here. We'll see if oneFreeFitz decides to head up there, and they will get rewarded more Bolt 3 action and an instant death spell, which is really nice to have for the final boss.
It's really hard to say at this point who is ahead and who's behind. I wouldn't feel good about making a prediction on who's ahead or who's behind until we find character number 5. If character number 5 is at Kefket Narsh and Kefket Narsh alone, PB&J is far more likely to stumble up there because Fitz has already passed on going up there once. So PB&J could work his way up there, find the character, while Fitz goes a lot of different avenues, knocks on a lot of different doors. That isn't going to be door number 5. And that could put him on an advantage because once you find your first character, you're more inclined to find more characters, and then it's just kind of a snowball effect.
Yeah, the game is deeper than it is wide, if you will, right? So your characters will come from your newer characters' checks. That's sort of how the game's logic works. So every seed is going to be 100% completable. So we'll see what's here at Zozo Tower. So this will be a new boss and a new reward here from Fitz. pbnjplz will get to the second part of the floating continent, which will not be a character. And speaking of floating continent, here's Narapa at the top.
So what we mean by deeper is that there are 62 checks in Worlds Collide in 14 characters. And I don't know off the top of my head, but some of those checks can't be characters, but there's 50-ish checks that need to be filled out with 14 characters. And then there's, I forget the number of Espers off my head, but there's a lot of Espers, but
27.
not enough to add up to 62. Thank you. So there's a lot of dead checks floating around, and they have to be populated with something. So that's what we mean by deeper. The farther we go, the more dead checks we're going to come across just by the chances.
Oh no, it's another Megalixir there.
Ooh.
So Fitz did take care of Narapa pretty quickly with a instant death Esper summon. So great game knowledge there, knowing that Narapa is susceptible to instant death. To get through that fight very quickly, it's just unfortunate for him that he climbed all the way up there for not another character or Esper. Meanwhile, we have a dabbing Yeti for pbnjplz. So if you were just gifted a sub in that power move by Organ Dude, you've got the emote, so let's show it off here. And it's Big Blue Bubble time, 30 minutes into the seed. And that'll take care of Umaro, Nuff Nuff Jigglypuff. as we like to
Nice.
say. And we'll see what the reward is here. Remember, it can't be a character, it's only an Esper or an item, and Fitz is saying, I've had enough of these dead checks. I'm going to go to the floating continent where 2 of the 3 are guaranteed to get me something. So,
Ooh, it's at least 3 Espers because that was Ragnarok for the Atma weapon spot.
yeah, so
Really?
I think pbnjplz also has probably a levels advantage, although I'm not quite sure because they both did Leet River, and Fitz also did some grinding beforehand at the Sealed Gate Ninja, so the levels might be close to them, I think.
Well, Fitz also found the Experience Egg in Albrook, which I don't think PB&J found. So it's less of an impact now, but it's going to make one of his statue fights a lot easier for him. So that's something to keep an eye out for later on.
Meanwhile, there are 2 forced encounters and 1 boss at the end of the floating continent here, which is what pbnjplz has to deal with. Unfortunately, out of magic for one of his characters, and there isn't really a convenient way to get to a save point here from the second check to the first check. So yeah, we're going to have 3 guaranteed pieces of progression on the floating continent because that middle check was an Esper.
Yeah, and then we're guaranteed to leave out here with either 5 and 6 or 4 and 7. We really hope for the seed's sake that it's 5 and 6 because some of the options that we're getting down to are some of the longer checks in the game, the least desirable checks. And that's not something you wish upon your worst enemy.
Alright, it's not the final Kefka, but Atnarsh Kefka here at the end of the floating continent. Hey, good game knowledge from PB&J as well.
Nice.
Grabbing an elixir off of Kefka there. And Magre also with a Prime sub. Thank you so much, Magre, for that subscription. And I don't know if you won or lost your race earlier today, but good luck with the rest of the Warring Triads event to you, sir. And that's a soldier. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Magre is insulted you had to ask because I think he won.
Oh, well, you know.
Apologize, good sir.
I was just so used to him winning in my Elixir C group in Ultras League Season 5 that I assumed that he won, but you never want to assume, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Alright, so it looks like we are going to try South Figaro Cave for PB&J, but we know from Fitz's insider information that that is not going to be a character. And we're down to the end of Magic Tech Factory.
Yep.
Getnarsh, Mobliz, and the Cave on the Belt. Oh, and Phoenix Cave. So we got 5 spots left a character could be lurking.
Yeah, so chat, what do you think, or where do you think our 5th character is, and who do you think it will be? I'm going to go with, let's do Realm at Velt Cave. Realm needs some rescuing from the evil Sriracha Behemoth character. And that's where I predict we're going here.
If the gods are good, I'm going to predict it's tomorrow at Opera House, because I totally forgot about Opera House. We actually have 6 spots left to check.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, Phoenix Cave's an interesting one. Same with Kefka at Narsh, because you have to divide your party up in half. So with only 4 characters, it means that you're going to be taking on either the boss in the Kefka at Narsh case or the dragon in the Phoenix Cave case with just 3 out of your 4 characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Phoenix Cave is kind of awkward to do mid-game. It's great to do it early because you can just bypass the dragon and turn some of your looting phase into the Phoenix Cave check. But at this point in time, you really want to do the dragon with all 4 of your endgame party so they all utilize the levels and the ability points. But having just a 4, somebody's got to sit it out, and it just makes it a little awkward and less ideal at this point in time for either of our runners.
Yeah, Opera House has some forced encounters in the rafters with the rats beforehand, so that is a check that's going to take a while. Magitech, you have to go all the way through the end to get a character. So the Velt Cave is probably the most palpable option left on the table here,
yeah,
from our runner standpoint. But that's
really,
also one that you could peek. So some runners tend to save the checks that you can take a look at what the reward is for later on.
With 7 Espers, PB&J is already at that point where like he could reset out of this. Well, no, he can go back and get his red cap as well. But he could almost start filtering into his peekable checks because you're almost so likely to stumble across the last 3 Espers at this point in time because you have to find so many more characters that if you can go do the the Cave on the Belt, see it's an Esper, just go ahead and nope out of it because you're going to come across 3 Espers anyways, and if you get in that awkward spot where you have to come back, well, you know where one for sure is.
Alright, so we already know, because oneFreeFitz did the South Figaro Cave, I'm sorry, the Welk spot, that this is a dead check here. So runners tracing over each other's steps. I think it's now time to plug their streams there. Make sure you go give the runners a follow. They're the ones that are putting on the show here. So go follow them for more Worlds Collide action.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Did you fill out your winners bracket for the Warring Triad event? Did your prediction bracket?
Oh, I don't touch the money. I'm in the event still. I'm not going to fill out a bracket because
I
can't bet against myself, but I also don't have confidence in myself. So
I did
it's a bit of
something
a conundrum.
I did something pretty impressive.
What'd you do?
We all put ourselves down as the winner of the event as our prediction.
Of course. I mean that.
Team Guardian.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
All right, it is a ghost there at Kefka at Narsh, and pbnjplz says,
nope.
No gracias. I am going to come back later, maybe, or never.
Yeah. So we are down to Opera House, Mobliz, Cave on the Belt, and a Magitech Factory, or one more I'm forgetting.
Yeah. So we have Phoenix Cave, Opera House Disruption, Magitech 3, Mobliz, and Belt Cave. So we have 5 left to go.
I think it's time for PB&J to play the Phoenix Cave, Cave on the Belt check. Mm-hmm. And if it's not there, get out of there and then check his Mobliz and start narrowing down his options.
Yeah, so not Phoenix Cave, excuse me. Belt Cave and Mobliz are kind of close to one another, and you can see what the reward is before you take the boss fight, so I think that's exactly what he's doing right here.
Yeah, because he hasn't done Zozo, so if he goes up to Zozo, that's going to be his answer behind that door, and he spent a lot of time just going to all the spots. oneFreeFitz didn't go, but I would say right now, we still haven't found that 5th character. I would say Fitz is slightly ahead, because look at his levels compared to PB&J. He's about 5 to 7 levels ahead.
Yeah.
And he's strumming along, even though PB&J has 2 more Espers.
Oh.
It's just about to catch up. Ooh, it's Grandpa.
Yeah, Strago is Mama, apparently, to the little kid there. So, pbnjplz, fading Zozo Tower is paying off for him here, as he's going to get Strago from this check. And there's another Esper for Fitz. He's probably going to get his 3rd Esper around the same time pbnjplz is going to get Strago, because you do have to fight Fun Baba 3, and then you have to fight whatever shuffled boss comes in afterwards with your party of 2. Or 2.5, because you'll get Strago, right?
Yep, and here's the bad news with having Bolt 3 being your primary offense. Fun Baba kind of likes it when you cast Bolt 3 on him.
Yeah, he's skipped leg day every day of the year, but he doesn't skip a chance to eat them lightning bolts. So, unfortunately, this is going to take a little bit longer than normal. Oh no!
Oh no!
Uh-oh.
Oh no!
Ruh-roh.
Oh no!
Ruh-roh.
And he is at the end of a very long walk, and is it? Oh no!
Oh my goodness! This is bad.
This is. Oh my goodness!
oneFreeFitz is,
living on the edge,
barely making out of that one. So yeah, it's time to use one of those thousands of mega elixirs that you racked up there in your next fight. Oh no, and here's Evil Toot. Okay, we're good. Evil Toot can also do confusey thingies.
Yep. Very fortunate for Fitz there to have his lock hang on and then get that over with. That was if he goes down there, he has to go all the way back to the beginning of Floating Continent. that's if he's saved. A lot of people just kind of
Yeah.
YOLO it.
I usually save
Oh.
right before the ship point because I've had plenty of times where it's like, oh hey, Doomgaze is at the end or at the middle, and you got to go back.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, I've noticed Strago has throw. So,
Ooh.
do you think we're going to see some party swapping over on PB&J's side here, Glue?
I think his Shadow with Magitech is going to come out. His Shadow is the one with Magitech, I think. Let's see if I'm right.
Shadow has GP Rain.
I would replace the Shadow, and of course he doesn't. Because GP Rain has kind of reached the end of its usefulness.
Well, this
Unless
is
we
why I
have to
didn't
find
fill
a
my
boss.
bracket out yet. Now I know, Team Doomgaze. Not going to go very far, kid. I'm totally kidding, by the way, as Fitz picks up his 8th shiny stone. And with Strago, we get access to 3 more checks, the first of which is the Fanatic's Tower, which is where PB&J is going. We could peek this at the bottom. The reward is either a character or an Esper, and since that's an Imp Sprite, that's a guaranteed Esper. We do not need that, no thank you. And then we're down to Burning House and Ebbett's Rock for Strago checks, and it looks like we are going to the RNG cave here.
Yeah, with character number 5 in tow. If there is not another character in our starting party set of checks, it may be a while before Fitz makes his way to Mobliz, and then PB&J can just keep on cooking.
The alternative is, and this is one of the reasons why I love Worlds Collide as a randomizer, if oneFreeFitz goes to a different check and finds a different character, then they could potentially go down a completely different path than PB&J.
Yeah, and we may see that right here with the Opera House. I think unless Strago has all 3 Espers or dead checks behind them, there's no scenario where PB&J opts to go to the Opera House. So if there's a character here, we'll have 100% divergent paths.
Yeah, this is one of the longer checks in the game because you have to go flick the switch, then you have to go fight off the rats in the rafters like Charlie Day and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia before finally getting to the boss here.
Flame Eater, not too bad.
Yeah, if we had Ice Magic, this would make this a lot easier. We do have Ice Beam, and we do have Lock with a Sniper, but other than that, we're just going to have to hit Flame Eater with stuff that he's not really weak to, unfortunately.
Well, the good news is Flame Eater doesn't have a robust HP pool, even now that we're approaching some of the higher level bosses that we'll face throughout the seed. It would be unfortunate if he threw out a random Flare Star right here, because his HP is less than 100. But nope, down he goes.
Why you gotta try the commentator curse, Glue? Come on now. You gotta try it.
I got a question for you, Swants.
Sure.
Why can Flame Eater cast Flare Star? Because in the regular game, he only casts Fire 2, and
hey, there's a Moogle.
ooh, nice.
Yeah, so the reason why Flame Eater can cast Flare Star is in Worlds Collide we have a concept called Element Ability Scaling. And that means that bosses can scale their spells upwards or downwards, depending upon what level they are, based on the element of the magic that you would like to, that they use. So since Flame Eater uses fire magic and Flare Star is a fire spell, it could eventually... Flame Eater can be scaled up to cast some of those more high, powerful damage spells. Merton is another one of them there. And Mog has Blitz, so pbnjplz doesn't like Strago Throw, but does like Mog with Blitz. If we get up to level 42, Mog can go learn Bum Rush and check out the levels that we are already. So I think we're going to learn Bum Rush here.
Yeah, because we have to do at least 3 more checks to get requirements, and that's not even counting if we want to do some dragons to get some of the perks that come along with doing those dragons. So it's a high chance we're going to end up at 42 just by default. And Bomb Rush, while not targetable in this flag set, he's going to have to take the statues on in the vanilla spot to just shuffle amongst themselves. And Bomb Rush is going to ignore defense and make one of those fights a lot easier for him.
Yeah, the statues are basically where the seed is going to ramp up its extreme difficulty here. And we have the other Fun Baba for oneFreeFitz at the Opera House. We'll see if this is a character here coming to rescue Maria. And it is not.
Ooh, no.
So for PB&J, please, as Star Power L points out, we had to fight the Ghost Train to get Strago, and we needed Strago to get Mog, who is Blitz. So therefore, no train suplex today, unless we go to Phantom Train. And there is Gao at Mog's Moogle defense check. So it looks like a pretty straight line path from character to character to character here.
Mm-hmm. And oneFreeFitz is heading on over to Moba's, and he'll get on his character train right now because he'll pick up his Strago once he sees that's the option, and he'll be right back in it.
All right, so PB&J, please, will get to his 7th character here. He still needs to get to 2 Espers, and he is currently at 14 checks, so 21 checks is the magic number. So he will pet the dog. oneFreeFitz automatically wins the seed. Just throw out the bracket there.
Pull it off.
So yeah, PB&J, please, at the very least, is going to have to do 3 more checks for 2 Espers and 1 character. So he'll be at 17 checks at the very least. So that'll be a debate as to whether or not he should go for skip at that point.
Now, he could go up to do the Lone Wolf spot because he knows the Lone Wolf, or excuse me, he knows Kefkat Narsh is not a character.
Mm-hmm.
And with that type of insider information, that type of being in the neighborhood, he could get his 2 extra experts he needs without having to leave Narsh. So it's on the realm of possibility that he goes right up the mountain again after this. And we got Sriracha Behemoth, Senor Behemoth, Mr. Behemoth as he prefers to be called.
Yeah, Sriracha, Sir, Scrontium, Senor. Insert your favorite SR abbreviation Behemoth here. We will get a Behemoth suit out of this fight, which is nice. It's one of our high tier pieces of armor.
Yeah, Senior Behemoth isn't too difficult. He is weak to fire and pearl, but sometimes he doesn't have that great defense anyways, so sometimes just lower level fire spells are good enough, like Fire Beam or your Fire 2. And the second half of this fight, he is susceptible to insta-death, so our Dooms, our X-Zones come into play to make this fight that's what makes this fight pretty easy, pretty simple.
And there it is, PB&J, please, coming out with the Doom. So speaking of that, the reason why both Ghost Train on the left and Senor Behemoth's undead form on the right can't be revivified is we have a flag called No Undead that basically removes the undead property from bosses that allows us to get away with those easy wins. So we decided that you should actually have to fight the bosses in this game. There you go. Gao with Control and Steal. One of the more useful Gaos I've seen, I would say myself. Alright, so that is another pair of characters for our runners. PB&J, please, with 7, and oneFreeFitz now with 5. We'll see if he decides to head over to Ebbets Rock or if he keeps going to a different spot.
Looks like PB&J is gonna do the Wall to Ruin Narsh climb. He'll be able to get one of the dragons.
Mm-hmm.
That will count as a check towards his skip, plus he'll get a chance at an Esper. Nice thing PB&J still has in play is the Magitech Factory. He can do the first 2 parts of Magitech, the Ifrit fight and the number 24 fight, or the Magimaster at Home fight, if you'd like to call it that. And those can only be Espers or items. They can't be characters. So it's a real common strategy when you're down to your last handful of Espers to do those 2 and then just warp out when you get what you need or you're good to go. I think that's his move here.
Yeah, that is one of my favorite plays, is to leave Magitech Factory for the end. That totally hasn't burned me in the past, though. But yeah, the first 2 spots being Esper item only definitely helps when you're looking for those Espers at the end of your seed. Red Dragon here, so the dragons are shuffled amongst themselves. And we get the Red Dragon in the the Ice Dragon's place here. And Fitz has decided to swap Strago into his party, so a little bit fighting with the menu boss here in order to get himself situated. He's going to see that this is not a character, walk back out, and we'll see if he decides to go Velt Cave maybe, or if he follows the Strago breadcrumb and goes down to Ebbett's Rock.
No, well, I like doing this first because once you're finished with it, it takes you down to that neighborhood anyway, into the Strago neighborhood, and then you can hop back on the Strago train of tricks pretty easily.
And everybody knows there ain't no train like a Strago train. Speaking of trains, we may have a sub-train going on in the chat as Double Down with a subscription to our channel as well. Thank you so much, Double Down, for not only subscribing, but also all of your hard work with organizing and administering the Warring Triads event. This should be a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to getting to know both of my teammates better and my enemies even better than that, you know, because you got to keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. So I'm coming after you, whoever it is I'm supposed to be racing this week, and it's Go-Go at the Velt Cave.
Ooh, nice. So there are possibly multiple paths through the seed, not having to go to Ebbett's Rock.
All right, well,
ooh, suplex on leader.
Please heard the call of the suplex and
Nice.
gave us the swag suplex on leader kill there. You love to see
Very
it.
nice.
And an Esper for his trouble too.
But that's good news, because he can just do the Ifrit spot, warp out, and then do the more desirable fix for your last handful, which would be the Opera Dragon, and then the Toilet Atma Golden Dragon spot within Kefka's Tower.
Well, he could also, because we saw him peek this, he could also do Fanatic's Tower. He knows that that's an Esper as well.
Yeah, with Ultima into Fanatic's Tower is pretty safe-ish.
The only problem is there's no save point on the way up, so you got to be careful with your magic power maybe on one of your casters. We do have Mute there on Palador, so that's really nice for Final Kefka. And speaking of Ifrit, that was Ifrit there for Fitz, and that means we got character number 6 in Go-Go, so we'll see if oneFreeFitz decides to bring his party down to 1 to go to the Zone Eater check here. And hey, would you look at that? It's Fanatic's Tower time. Let's go.
Fanatic's Tower, indeed.
Yeah, I personally, I think I'm with you. I would have done Magitech Factory. It's way faster than doing this. But if you do want to get those dragons for those status upgrades, then this is certainly a way to check 2 birds with 1 stone. And it's technically 3 checks, so it'd be checking 3 birds with 1 stone. So by the time that pbnjplz is done with this, he will be at 20 checks, leaving him 1 shy of 21 for the skip. So I think that's why he's looking like Fanatic's Tower. He knows this is 3 checks. Then he can go do the Opera House Dragon and get his auto shell, as well as getting Kefka Tower skip.
Yep. He's taking the dragon first. I'm a big proponent of taking the guy on the roof first. You know what a dragon could be, and you have a better idea if you can kill a dragon, yes or not, than you do what's on the roof. Because what's on the roof could be a vanilla spot, and kind of very unfortunate in this scenario. And it takes a little more out of you to take him down. And there are scenarios where I've seen runners take what's on the roof, and they're not, and what survives that fight is not able to take down the dragon.
Right.
And then you and then in that case, you just walk past your dragon, you get out of there, you heal up, and then you move on.
Or at the very worst, you take the dragon, or you exit out, you use your sleeping bag or whatever, and then you walk back up to the dragon.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Fitz is on Demi Island here, trying to get his go-go check.
How many demis do you think he's going to eat? Because that's how many? 4?
That's at least 4 there. So, question from the chat. Do you have a star mark for the Esper magic you learned? Yeah, so there's a setting in Worlds Collide called the Esper Mastery Icon. If you learned every single spell under a particular Esper, you get a little star next to it in the menu. So it allows you to more easily identify what espers you don't need to use anymore for learning. That was what, 5 Demi in a row?
Yeah, only 5.
Only 5. It still feels like an eternity. Anything over 2 is just horrific. And now you have to deal with these chancellors as well.
Well, this is the hardest boss in the game.
Yeah.
Because you got 2 options to get behind him. You can sneak behind him or you can power through him. And oh my goodness, that is some of the quickest Chancellor evasion I've ever seen in my life. oneFreeFitz. Turning on the turbojets, beating the toughest boss in the game in record time.
Skirt, skirt. Unfortunately for pbnjplz, he's got Guardian. Now, this is going to be a bunch of HP. However, access to Bolt 3 means that we have the weakness of the boss. So we're doing some pretty big damage, Phil Swift would say, for this boss here.
So we haven't really seen some of the more, I would say, more troubling bosses in a 1v1 scenario. So the Guardian spot could be a big obstacle still in Kefka's Tower because we haven't seen Stooges, we haven't seen Haydn, and then we haven't seen Doomgears or Magimaster. Each one of those bosses presents problems in when your party is compromised.
Yes.
And we could have a rough road ahead of us in the tower based on the odds.
Yeah, if we didn't have access to Bolt 3, I'd also say Air Force would be a big problem at really high levels, but he's sort of a glass cannon. If you get one Bolt 3 cast, you're probably fine. Alright, so let's see where Fitz decides to go, finding his shiny rock at the end there. And it looks like he is going to choose right, and we'll get his 7th character at Ebbett's Rock. So we're going to have a race here once pbnjplz gets his 10th Esper. Let me check out. Fitz is at 17 checks at the moment, so he will have 18 after Ebbett's Rock. So pbnjplz will have the advantage of the Kefka Tower skip once he gets his go mode here.
Yeah. And then keep in mind, Fitz has been sitting on an experience egg this entire seed that PB&J didn't. So that time that he is behind right now, he may be able to catch up when he takes down the statues a little bit faster on one side, or just has less trouble. What Esper is this going to be?
Let's go with...
Show?
How about Kieran? How about not?
Torado, everybody's favorite.
One of the least useful Espers in the entire game. Although it does have Ultima and Stop on it.
This is a lot of Ultima.
Yeah. Between
but
the
that's
7
what
Battle
happens.
Curse Shield and it's either 2 or 3 Espers that teach it.
Well, that's
Actually,
also what
probably
happens.
More.
That's what happens when you take out some of the spells, though, like Fire 3 and
right.
Earth 3.
Yes.
Is you have to put something there, so
Absolutely right.
so it's possible for it to be rolled multiple times. It's less of a deep pool. But PB&J does have to go get his bum rush. We forgot about that.
Oh yeah, this is about a little bit more than a minute of a cutscene here to get bum rush. I personally think, especially in this flag set, it's worth it. It will save you dramatically in Kefka's Tower, right? Because you could send that bum rush user to any side really and be confident that they could probably take the boss out.
Yeah, because Bomb Rush ignores defense. It has a very strong battle power. Gosh, I don't know off the top of my head, but it's one of the stronger abilities in the game. So you really just have to be able to get 4 or 5 turns off, and then you'll be able to take down any statue with it.
I think it's the strongest defense-ignoring spell that's not Ultima.
Yeah, Ultima is only stronger single target. Well, I take that back. Its battle power is not the same as Ultima's. It's slightly less.
128 ignoring magic defense is Bum Rush.
And what is Ultima's?
Let's find out.
100. It's more.
Okay, so there's Drill.
One?
Actually, Chainsaw is 252, which is ridiculous. Drill is
Well,
191. Suplex is 180, actually. Ultimate is 150. Then you get all of the limit breaks, or whatever they're called, desperation attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Merton is 138, and then Bum Rush is 128. So it's slightly less than a desperation attack, which is pretty crazy.
But Ultima in single target situations also gets the multiplier for not hitting multiple things on your screen, whereas Bum Rush will never get that because it's always single target. So another reason why Ultima is broken.
That is correct, yeah.
Alright, Warp Stones for sale for oneFreeFitz, but doesn't need them. And it's a hunt for Skip now. We got PB&J doing the Opera House Dragon. We got Fitz going somewhere else. We don't know. Atma weapon. Oh my goodness, that's huge. He's had a couple of characters sitting on a plus strength Esper and never really had anything for them, but now he does.
Yeah, that is a great backup plan because the Atma weapon will ignore defense, right? So our statue bosses have very high physical defense for Poltergeist, and are susceptible to physical attacks in the case of Goddess. Meanwhile, Ice Dragon at the Opera House freezing half of PB&J's party, so this fight will take 2 turns instead of just 1, but that's alright. That's another dragon down, and that will be our auto haste, our auto shell complete for him. And more importantly, Kefka Tower skip.
Now, why is he getting auto shell for killing 3 dragons once?
That is part of the objectives in the Goddess flag set, so we'll pull up the flags here. Auto Shell is at 3 dragons, Auto Haste is at 4. So if he was to get 4, he would get that, but that's not what he's doing. Meanwhile, oneFreeFitz is going to take out the same dragon here. As I mentioned, he is at 18 checks at the moment, so he needs to do 3 more in order to get his Kefka Tower skip. So PB&J, please, slightly ahead of oneFreeFitz here, heading into the tower at the statue skip. And we'll see what bosses await him here at the Guardian spot, because we know that the statues are going to be at the statue spots.
And as predicted, he's having his Mog in his own lane with his freshly acquired Bum Rush.
Yeah, he's also got Strago with Throw in the middle lane. Throw is very good for ignoring defense. So it's good to have your Throw user in another lane where maybe you're not as happy with your characters here. So that's sort of how he's splitting it up.
I think with this Terror, he's just going to power his way through it with some Ultima cast. His middle lane, I think, is going to kind of do the same, and then we'll be doing some Bum Rush action with Mog on off to the side. But he's very well equipped for this because you can see he's got a Genji helmet, he's got a Thunder Shield, he's got a Snow Muffler on his Shadow. He is very kitted out very well.
Alright, so it looks like oneFreeFitz is going to overload the second party here, so I'm predicting a stop at the Atma spot and one of the dragons here to get to 21 checks. And as far as Ultima goes, I think it's not necessarily extra damage for single target, but Ultima does not do split damage when there's multiple targets, right? So it doesn't... Most spells will get half of their battle power if there's multiple targets, so a spell that does 100 battle power will only do 50 if you're casting multiple targets. Ultima doesn't have that sort of penalty, if you will.
No, Ultima, if you cast... So it's a big problem with some of the statues because they'll cast Ultima with their scaled up abilities. So you always want to keep one of your party members aside because it does get split. It does get split damage, whereas it's really unlikely. It does get split. It's really unlikely if you have your one strong character 1v1ing it that you happen to have one come off. It's really unlikely that they happen to survive it just because of the magic power of the statues.
Yep, you're correct. It does do split damage. It's my fault. I can't read my own charts.
We got to the bottom of it as a team.
There it is.
Us in the chat.
This is
all 45 of them.
You learn something new every. Well, you also make yourself look like an idiot every day in Worlds Collide too. That's part of comes with the territory there. Meanwhile, the Goddess fight for PB&J, please, and thankfully we do have that Strago with the throw ability. As we mentioned, Goddess has not as high physical defense as she does magic defense, so these throw abilities will hurt, especially now that Shadow can't do anything after being love tokened here on the one side.
I think his Shadow has a stunner because we were just on the menu He has the Genji helm.
That is correct.
So Stunner is not that bad. It's not an S tier item, but it's not a D tier item. It's in between. But
It's
you'd like
got
to see
very
that.
high battle. Yeah, it's got very high battle power. I think it's in the 240s.
Yeah, it can
For a
cast.
weapon.
It can cast stop. It's just it doesn't get the cool procs and perks that that the weapon in the Ragnarok and the Illumina do.
220, excuse me, not 240. 220 battle power is pretty high for a standard weapon. I think it's the best thing that Shadow can naturally use. Alright, Gold Durgan down for Fitz, so that's going to be his skip. So he's basically 2 bosses behind at this point.
Yeah, but as you can see, his lock is doing quad 9 Atma weapon swings. That's a great feeling. Ooh, great heads up play here by Fitz by shuffling the Paladin shield around. That's one of the perks of getting the Paladin shield in this flag set, or really any flag set if you get the opportunity to, is that whether this, especially if this is Poltergeist, it's going to basically negate half of his attacks. His Flare Stars, his Mertens, his Northern Cross are going to heal his Mog. And with his Bomb Rush, he really just needs to survive a couple turns, and then this fight is over. Well, that and not mess up the input. And I think that's a Control Steel Gao. That is one of the rarest looking Gaos I've ever seen.
Yeah, that is... Gao is my favorite character in the randomizer, but yeah, you get these special kind of Gaos every once in a while that make you hate your life. Yeah, so basically PB&J has to hope that he gets out of the stop blaster sort of threshold, which I think 2 Bum Rushes will put him into phase 2 at that point, because he's got probably around, 40,000 HP.
You got to push him below his 50% threshold for his HP, then he's out of that phase. But one more, he's for sure out of it.
Well, Gao just chilling there. Since we do have auto-condemned, is hiding in a menu for not letting that timer count down there. And here comes Goner.
Oh, no.
So Gao is definitely finna die here, but I think Mog will easily survive this. Especially with that auto shell, as you mentioned, we'll take 33% less incoming magic damage.
Yeah, Goner doesn't pierce magic defense, so Force Shields and then other things make it quite handy. Oh no, this is not something you want to see, but one more blitz and I think he's out of this.
Yeah, we just got to be aware of the counter attack here in case this doesn't do it, but I think this should. There we go.
Nice.
Meanwhile, oneFreeFitz is using Pearl from Terra here on the first half of the Doom fight, which is our other side that we haven't seen yet. This is not going to work during phase 2 because Doom will get Image and Reflect, so we'll see what oneFreeFitz's strategy will pivot to in the second phase of this fight here.
I think I know the strategy is going to pivot to, and I think it's going to be Ultima.
That's a good strategy.
I think what he's doing is using his Pearl now and conserving his MP. Because Ultima will pierce that shield, or excuse me, pierce that Reflect, but Pearl won't. So there's no sense in blowing all your MP now, just to push him into a phase where you can't damage him.
Yeah, and with the gold hairpin, he can cast twice as many Ultima as normal. And considering how high Ultima's battle power and magic damage already is, you don't really need that second earring if you're going to be casting Ultima over and over again.
Mm-hmm. But his Terra is getting a little low on HP.
Yeah, one counter attack, if this Ultima doesn't go off, might actually kill Terra. So we'll see if this has got enough juice. And it does.
And not far behind, but technically ahead, we got PB&J doing his Terra Burst Doom fight.
Yeah, PB&J's Terra has over 600 MP, so can cast at least 2 Ultimas here.
It depends. it's with these requirements, with you needing 7 characters, 10 espers, you're gonna come across at least 13 checks. So they're gonna be at a minimum level 40.
Mhm.
And if you just have some bad luck and you opt to do some dragons, they're gonna be even higher than that.
Right.
And
On top of that, most seeds, right, runners are going to try and go for skip, and skip is minimum 21 checks, which means everything is level 50, right? Because that's just what it is.
So when they get up to that level 50, as Falcon Hit is saying, they're going to have north of 40k HP, which is a minimum of 5 turns if you're not breaking the damage limit. Except for Goddess. Goddess doesn't have as high as HP pool as the other two.
That's correct.
But it's still a little robust.
And Doom's is higher than Poltergeist is, but he also, I don't think his defense is not as high, right? His physical defense is nowhere near as high.
It's not as spicy as some would say.
Alright, so number 128 down for oneFreeFitz, and he's got 2 more bosses to go. Meanwhile, pbnjplz, this is his last boss before he gets to step up to the plate to Final Kefka. So he'll be fighting the big bad pretty soon enough here, Glue.
So these are some really, really good times for the Goddess flag set with how difficult it can be. PBNJ is going to step on the switches just south of the 113-minute mark, or the hour and 13-minute mark, and that's very impressive. It doesn't matter, but Locke is actually hitting this Goddess in the back. But now it does matter because he can't swing a sword anymore. No worries though, Shadow is also doing quad 9s and... Yeah, I think PB&J is not going to have too much difficulty with this final Kefka fight because he made such short work of the 3 statues, and as you can see, he's level 48 with his Celeste. He's going to have no problem with it. It's just a matter of how fast can he do it, and can he avoid any of the pitfalls that typically come with this fight.
I'm going to predict a 7-minute 16-second time for Final Kefka for PB&J. Get your predictions in the chat here. We do have access to instant death. We also have access to mute, and I believe both runners have access to golem. Isn't that correct? From
yeah, because golem was floating continent.
Yep. So we do have most of the things we need to deal with the final boss. It's just a matter of execution here. So I'm thinking it'll be in the 7-minute range. That might be a bit too low, but hey, we're putting the pressure on our runners here.
Plus his bomb rush isn't targetable, so he's gonna have no problem getting damage out. It's just the order of operations may bite him in the behind a little bit. But 11340 was the bell. So class has started. Please get your textbooks out and begin taking notes.
And of course, the R polarity to start doesn't help because you pretty much lose an entire turn having to reconfigure the rows of your characters.
Well, that's pretty good RNG so far. He got Doom on the first try.
Yeah, so normally you want to use fire against head, but we don't have fire magic outside of Magitech, and then using the fire dance blitz. But PB&J opting for bum rush instead and getting lucky with that first target there.
Very nice. That Shadow is doing respectable damage with his stunner, and reverse polarity is just annoying.
Oh no, Fitz meanwhile getting the zombie Shadow with the stop blaster. Yeah, so I think we had a strength +1 or strength +2 Esper. So Shadow must have been munching on that all seed, so he might have pretty high strength there. 4k damage per fight command. And luckily his Mog targeted the right part 2 times in a row here.
Yeah, now it doesn't matter what part Mog targets because they're all good parts to hit. And for oneFreeFitz, his Shadow is down again, but he's saying, heck with it, I'm just going to start busting out some Ultimas and push this across the finish line.
Oh,
Oh
Zombie Shadow saving the
no!
day there.
Yeah, that
Love to
is
see it.
nice. That gives him time to get Shadow back up and get cooking, or to just try to finish this outright.
All right, that is tier 1 down.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want Shadow to accidentally, stop your own character here. That would be bad.
No. And he's trying his darndest to do that.
Fitz is running out of time here, so if he revives Shadow, Shadow will not have the condemned timer above his head. So that's something to keep in mind here on Celeste.
Can Zombie Shadow stop himself?
No.
I don't know if he can.
He's doing a heck of a job with this fight, though. Thank you very much, Shadow.
Everything else, though.
Alright, now I think it's time to revive Shadow here as your condemned counter gets down towards the end. Or Fitz is just going to go for it. If this does not kill him, then this is a reset.
I like this play. No risk it, no biscuit.
Oh, unfortunately not enough HP taken off of the spicy one there.
So as I was just saying, no need to rush it there. We should have just picked Shadow back up.
All right, meanwhile,
I still like it.
On the other side, we did get the correct target for our Doom. So Tools is out of the way. Magic has been muted and now bum rushed. So thanks for that, Mog. And we're going to try and kill down the rest of this second tier here.
Yeah, pbnj has been just firing through this. He's getting some pretty good RNG with his Doomcast, with his bum rushes. Now, let's see what this freeze does. Pretty good. Yeah, you couldn't walk it out there and point at the statue better than this and Mog taking orders.
Oh, look at this. A Tiger again, and there that goes.
You may as well just give him an Atma and 200 strength.
Yeah, another stop for Celeste. And the pain train continues.
Yeah, his Shadow knows life too, but with Overcast on, that doesn't do us any good.
Yeah.
Did he just... Wait, what did he just do?
That was the oddest thing I've ever seen. He just revivified the zombie, but the Celeste was still stopped and then got immediately blasted. That was super duper weird.
Because in his script, basically what he does is he checks all your character slots, and if they're stopped, then he busts it out. But I guess she was still stopped from the...
Maybe the zombie status doesn't clear the stop status? That's...
Maybe Overcast doesn't. I don't know, but either way, we'll do it one more time and find something else weird.
This is Worlds Collide. We're finding weird stuff all the time. Yeah. PB&J, meanwhile, getting past tier number 2 there. On to tier number 3. He's about 5 minutes into this battle right here. And as I mentioned before, we do have Golem for calmness protection. It's just a matter of, can we kill Girl? We do have Ultima, and we have Shadow swinging that striker. I think it'll be down to Mog with his superb targeting thus far.
Yeah, I think Mog's gonna take down Lady on the first turn here. He's been up to the task so far. No reason to go off the deep end now.
Yeah, one of the interesting things here is Celeste is frozen, and since we don't have access to fire magic, we can't thaw her out until the timer thaws her out. And if the timer thaws her out while we're transitioning from one tier of Kefka to the other, she's going to get stuck in this frozen state permanently, which is kind of a bummer, to put it mildly.
He's bypassing his blitz opportunity with Mog. I think he's just letting the GP rain and the stunner swings take care of Lady. Yeah, this Poltergeist fight going a little bit smoother so far for oneFreeFitz.
Yeah, so it looks like he put some sort of either wall ring or reflect spell on Celeste this time. That's what that blue hue is. As if you don't know, Spicy Chicken Poltergeist is susceptible to stop, even though he casts it himself. So this time, Fritz playing a little defense, deciding that, hey, if Poltergeist wants to hit me with stop, he's going to hit himself with it instead. Alright, Celeste is finally unfrozen there. decided to let it go, if you will. Any Frozen fans in the chat?
Yeah, this might push us into the medial phase of Sleep to
no.
the Cycle. Oh no.
Yeah, WN coming out, and we already queued up another attack. Okay.
This is how this can go south fast. But no, we're good, we're good.
I thought Shadow had queued up a GP Rain, but I must have missaw.
Now his condemned timer, or excuse me, his overcast timer is getting a little low. So anybody that does eat that timer and turns into a zombie does not turn back into the normal status. During the transition from this to Tier 3 to Tier 4 will be lost for the rest of the fight.
Yeah, luckily we do have Strago on the bench, right? Strago with throw. But Bum Rush should certainly push this into calmness, and that should be this part of the fight done. Now we just have to deal with Kefka. And one of the interesting things about Blitz is that Mantra will actually clear the Dark and Mute status. So he could use that on Mog on the first turn here to get Shadow, Celeste, and Terra in their correct order. Meanwhile, Fitz, third time is the charm for him, taking down the Spicy Chicken, but he is still a whole 3 tiers of Kefka behind at this point.
Yeah, and then with all the Mega Elixirs too, I don't think PB&J is any danger here, as long as he doesn't trigger an Ultima counter.
Green Monkey said, tried to do Mantra, accidentally did Spiraler. Well, that'll also clear statuses on your characters, but your Blitz character is going to be gone from the rest of the fight, so you don't really want to do that.
Oh, no, he has Unicorn, and he knew it, so
nice.
He had other plans.
Yeah, so putting that ribbon on Shadow there, and hooking up Shadow with the Unicorn Esper Summon. Great heads-up play there from PB&J to get his characters in the right spot. We have a Mega Elixir from one of the plethora of dead checks we had, so that's our counter for Fallen One here. And now it's damage time, folks.
Nice. And that gives him a fresh batch of Ultimas to pull out the oven and deliver. Thunder Shield coming out. That's going to be another quad 9 ability. Out comes the Garner Charge. And it's just a matter if we can do enough damage to take him down before that even comes out. And I think we will. Yeah, 2 more and I think we're good to go.
Yep, so during Goner, Kefka's not going to counterattack, so now is the perfect time to do all of your damage without fear.
I think that Ultima's going to do it.
There it is.
There it is.
123.42. PB&J, please, strikes in this battle here. Team Doomgaze over Team Atma, putting Kefka in jail, as I like to say. I found that from somebody else. Blue, were you the first person to say that?
No,
with the bars here on the.
We don't know where that's happening. We'll get to the bottom of that one day.
So GG's to PB&J, please. Go tell him in his chat, congratulations and a job well done for him. And we'll see Fitz finish out the rest of his fight here as well.
Will PB&J be joining us?
We'll see. So Glue, 123.42 is a pretty ridiculously fast time for a Goddess Seed.
Especially when you consider that the average time is like in the 150-ish range, so he beat that by almost 30 minutes.
Yeah, I don't think I've played 4 or 5 Goddess Seeds, and I haven't sniffed below 140. So that's an insane time there.
Yeah, and we're on the tier 2 for oneFreeFitz. Still a little bit on the line for Fitz. Your average time does play as a factor of some tiebreakers, so it is in Fitz's best interest to finish this out with the best time possible. And we are joined now by the one and only Peanut Butter and Jelly. Please, good sir. How you doing, my friend?
Great. That felt like a really good performance for me on this flag set, so I'm pretty happy with it.
Very well done. What was your strategy going into this? And then, because you whatever it was, you executed very well. Because the average time for some of the Goddess flag sets that player is like in the 150 ballpark range, and with a 123, that's well below that. So what did you do? What was your game plan?
My basic strategy for all the Warring Triads flag sets is just to pick up as many espers and characters as you can right away, because that will increase the XP you get from grind fights. And then this one in particular, I just saw that it was 21 check skip, and so I basically played it like a Turbo Ultros League that's 7 and 10 instead of 6 and 9.
Mm-hmm.
And just tried to go as fast as I could. And I took a lot of like slower checks that had a lot of fights, so I could get XP early.
Very nice. And then we saw you when you saw that Mog and you picked him up and you learned the bum rush. Did you have any thoughts about taking that throw shadow? Because throw Strago, because throw is another defensive ignorability that you could have utilized.
Yeah, in hindsight, I think it would have been better, but at the time I was just like, well, also I saw that he had 25 strength, and I was like not really feeling that.
Grandpa got to hit the gym.
Well, with a little osteoarthritis going on in there, so it happens when we get old.
Eat your vitamins, kids.
Yeah, but I think once he got up to like the high 40s where I was at the end, it would have been better than swinging with the stunner, for sure.
Yeah, so this is a pretty high-powered octane seed, especially with, you said you did a lot of free checks early that rewarded espers, and those espers rewarded you with a lot of really great spells. So was it sort of off to the races when you saw that? And was that what you were thinking most of your builds would be? This seed would be, based on the magical spells that you got?
Yeah, once I saw that Bolt 3 right away, and then I knew I was going to have access to Ultima at some point since I started with Lock, so I figured worst case scenario, I could just make anyone cast Bolt 3 in Ultima and get through.
Yeah, you had Ultima online almost around the 20-minute mark. Was that planned? Was that just a happy accident? What was your game plan when you saw Ultima was on the table this seed?
Yeah, I definitely... that was another reason I prioritized like Leet River and Floating Continent, because there's just so many fights there, and I knew I could decurse the shield quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It helped also that I had a Minerva, so Terra actually had enough mana really early on to cast it, so that was pretty good.
Yeah, so with the fact that you are fighting these statue bosses in shuffled locations in this flag set, what is your limit sort of higher for what the curse shield count could potentially be in order to uncurse it, getting that paladin shield, or is that still something you're trying to feel out a little bit?
Yeah, definitely still trying to figure it out. I think with Poltergeist now, the count is increased, and I'm not sure if that's going to be worth it, but I think when it's 7 to 14, I think is what it is on this, I think it's usually worth it. Just because the Paladin Shield is such a good defensive item, and Ultima is such a good tool against all of the statues.
Yeah, so you got your 7 characters, you needed one more Esper, and you had previously peaked Fanatic's Tower. Was part of the choice to go there because you can get to your 21 checks for skip, plus hit up the dragon for the auto shell? How also have you been on doing the Injured Lad versus Dragon quest? Have you usually been avoiding that because of the 2.5 minute time sink to save the Injured Lad versus going to fight the dragon to get more powerful? What are your thoughts on that sort of aspect of the seed?
Yeah, usually I'll take dragons if I'm going for skip, and if it's not looking like I need skip, or like if skip is too high, then I usually just won't bother with the dragons. To be honest, I haven't done the injured lad quest once, so I don't even know how it works. But
Well, thankfully, some handsome gentleman who may or may not be in this commentary booth did a tutorial video on it. So make sure you go on our YouTube channel, FF6 Worlds Collide. We not only post races, but we also post tutorials that nobody ever watches, apparently. So,
actually, I did watch it, but I didn't do it.
Okay, there we go.
And I just kind of forgot about it, to be honest.
Glue, you got any other questions for our resident sandwich asker?
With it being a 1v1, has your strategy changed from any of the practice sync races, or just from any of your practice Warring Triad seats altogether? Now that the band has kicked off and it's go time. Have the training wheels come off, or have you shifted strategies any bit?
No, honestly, I'm just trying to go as fast as I can. I'm not that advanced in my strategies, unfortunately.
oneFreeFitz finishing up 1:31:20. Get your GGs in chat for that. That was a pretty close race, in spite of the fact that there was a little bit of divergence there. So, really, really nicely played by both of our runners.
Very nice.
Yeah, I don't have any other questions for PB&J, please, if you have any. Blue?
I just want to clarify that when he said handsome individual, he was talking about himself.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. But other than that, now that we got that straightened out, you got anything else come up, PB&J, that you wanna talk about before you head off?
No, not really. Thanks for hosting the restream. It's always fun to watch these back and see what the other player did and everything. So appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thank you for volunteering to be on Restream. Can't have the races without the runners, so thank you, and congratulations on your victory for Team Doomgaze, and good luck with the rest of the Warring Triads. I hope that I am not in your group yet. No, I'm not, so maybe we'll see you somewhere down the line.
Sounds good, thanks.
All right. So yeah, this is a pretty good showcase on the power that you can have with Goddess. There was a lot of ridiculously good spells that were here out of the gate, so allowed our runners to get off and going, in spite of the fact that it took us a while, Glue, to find our fifth character.
It took us a while, but then when we did, everything kind of kicked into hyperdrive, if you will.
When it rains, it pours, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, indeed. And, well, there he is. I was just about to ask if Fitz was going to be joining us, but I am 99% sure that's Fitz.
Hello.
Hey, you just finished in time for the second half of the Lions game, my friend.
Oh, yeah, what's the score?
21-17 Detroit.
Ooh.
So they held it down for you while you were taking care of business.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah, I'm curious. I definitely want to peek on the tape on this. Like, I know I had trouble with spicy chicken. We had to do it 3 times. But, I don't know. I feel pretty good about my run overall, though. It was a fun one.
Yeah, it was still a very, not first place tonight, but it was still a very good time relative to the average Goddess's flag set typical times. So it was a very strong performance. I will say that when you had started the Poltergeist fight, he was on the switches, so it wasn't you were very much on his heels, PB&J's heels, but he was already on the switches before you had started your Poltergeist fight. So while it did cost you a chance at catching up to him, it didn't cost you a chance. It didn't cost you the race. But let's talk about that Poltergeist fight. What do you feel like? Were you surprised when he blasted that Celeste twice in a row as we were?
Okay, so fight 1, I threw a ribbon on Shadow because, I don't know, I was like, I think this blocks stop. No, it doesn't. And so he got stopped, and then I got him back alive. No, I couldn't revivify him because he had a ribbon. So it's like, all right, well,
that's awful.
He's a permanent zombie.
He did help you out a little
And
bit.
then
Yeah, he tried
and
his
then
best.
he stopped Poltergeist, and I was like, hey bud, we're good to go. But then I died, so I was like, all right, reset some things around. Celeste gets stopped immediately. I was like, nope, that's not going to work either. Try number 3. I put the wall ring on to reflect the stop, and then he didn't do it. I was like, cool, man. So I definitely learned something. I wish the Elite Ritter would have had progression instead of being dead. That would have been huge for me. But of course, I got a Mega Elixir, so.
Yeah, so unfortunately, that would not have helped you in terms of getting an edge on your opponent, because PB&J was also riding the raft at the same time as you. So
I think he beat you there.
Yeah.
I was as shocked as anybody because I know you're a big Elite River advocate.
Yeah, I was trying to route it in at a nice time, but yeah, I think my favorite moment was when my muddled character on Floating Continent cast Ultima on the party, and we, thanks to an experience egg lock, lived to get us out of there. But I was like, ooh, that's like 5 minutes of progress, wiping to like the random encounters before the final boss. So that was my, like, I would say biggest oh no moment of the run, was like, oh no, Muddle and Ultima. And Celeste didn't know very many spells either, so it's like,
why did the game have to pick that one for you?
And she had the fixed dice, so I was like, she's gonna down someone like right away, and it was even worse than I had first saw. So yeah, I think the times were fast. PB&J is really good, and so I knew I was gonna have to try to be kind of aggressive, maybe take a gamble here or there. I don't know if going for the skip was the right move, but it was pretty quick, so I kind of was like, might as well.
Yeah, it was quick,
Go
and you
for it.
also got some additional levels on your character, right? So that always helps out too.
Oh yeah.
I think it was just you did a couple more checks that did not work out in your favor than PB&J did. Like, I think PB&J did not go up to Zozo Tower for that dead check, and he ended up going through the Fanatics Tower, which was an Esper, but it was also, more importantly, 3 checks towards skip, right? So it was a very close race, especially it was pretty linear the way to get through this seed. You got Go-Go at Opera House, right? Not at Opera House, at Velt Cave, whereas PB&J found Gao at Moogle Defense, so it was pretty fast to get your 7 characters after you got, finally, Strago as your 5th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he found his Strago, then he found his Gao immediately, and then he immediately found Gao at Strago, at Moogle Defense. No, who was at Moogle Defense? I forget the chain.
That was Gao.
Okay, so it was Strago, Mog, then Gao, but he boom. Once he found his 5th character, he immediately found his 7th while you were finding Strago, and that's really where the path had diversion, and he took a turn ahead.
Yeah, like I said, it's one-on-one, but it's a team event. So even when I saw that they had finished, I still was like, all right, let's go real fast. Like, let's keep this margin.
Who are your teammates? How are you feeling about them, Fitz?
It's a team Atma is myself, Retrophile TV,
nice.
and Christopher Workin. Work, I had a mentor sesh with, so I know the potential there. They may be our sleeper here, because they've learned a lot really fast, and I see them putting in the work. And Retrophile as well, quality racer. So I feel like we've got a solid squad.
Screen, by the way, sorry to cut you off.
Our group is tough. like there's definitely some people with the dogs in them.
I see 12 people on the screen with a dog in them on the left.
There's definitely a lot. I'm pretty sure I'm in Drinks Glue's group as well as Honeydew. So, not looking forward to those matchups. If I get them, I'm gonna have to go very, very fast. But excited to be kicking off the event and looking forward to not running Goddess next time. I got that, I guess, out of the way.
You'll have to do it twice, so you only have to do it one more time. So next week you can practice some Doom or Poltergeist.
Because just time-wise and just for my practices, it's like Goddess is the one that can go the most sideways. So it's having one that was pretty gentle overall and playing it pretty well feels good to open off.
Yeah, and Fitz, before we let you go, is there anything coming up you want to talk about within the Clyde community or outside? We know you have a diverse palette of all the different randomizers you play.
Yeah, definitely the Jets of Time League is in week 2. The late sign up period is still open for a couple of days, so there's still time to jump in on that. And I definitely have a part of a couple of submissions for Randothon coming up, so fingers crossed we get in.
Let's get
in.
Yeah.
We do some stuff there.
Yeah, I think I'll give you guys a stack of rename cards at the beginning of our Randothon seed if we get into. Gotta get the memes going.
Very nice.
Anyways, thank you, Fitz, for agreeing to participate in the restream. Can't have the races without the runners, and good luck with the rest of the season, because you are not in my side of the table yet. So I could wish everybody else good luck.
Yeah, well, he is on my side, so good luck, Fitz, the rest of the season, but not too much. I hope your characters all have one earring at all times, but never two.
Thank you very much. Thank you for putting on the race and jumping on comms. And I wish you both luck as well, unless I face you, and then you gotta go down.
Oh man, fighting words. I love it.
Some friendly competition. Thank you so much, Fitz, and
Thank
we'll
you,
catch
Fitz.
you on the
We
next one.
appreciate you.
Yep. Good night.